From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Wednesday, February the 7th, 2018. An Israeli civilian security guard was lightly wounded this morning in a stabbing in the West Bank. 36-year-old Boris Balbrava was standing guard at the entrance to the Jewish settlement of Karmei Tzur, where he also lives, when he was attacked by 17-year-old Palestinian Hamza Youssef Zamare. While trying to fight him off, Balbrava was stabbed by the terrorist in the palm of his hand. A second guard at the scene shot the terrorist, killing him. Balbrava was treated at the scene by Magen David Adom paramedics and taken to Hadassah Hospital Ein Kerem in Jerusalem in good condition. Following the incident, Israeli troops raided the home of the terrorist in the West Bank Arab village of Khalkhul, where clashes broke out between them and Palestinians who threw rocks at the Israeli troops. IDF forces used riot control measures to disperse the crowds, arresting one rioter. Meanwhile, IDF forces continued their search today for the terrorist responsible for the death of 29-year-old Rabbi Itamar Ben-Gal, who was murdered in the West Bank on Monday outside the Jewish city of Ariel. The press office of Andrzej Duda confirmed that the Polish president, in fact, authorized a law making it illegal to attribute Nazi crimes or complicity in them to Poland. The law has caused a major uproar in Israel and the Jewish world, who see the law as an attempt to rewrite or silence history, noting that while there were those Poles who saved Jews during the Holocaust, there were also those who helped the Nazis and even killed Jews. U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson said that the U.S. was disappointed by Poland signing the bill into law. Tillerson said enactment of this law adversely affects freedom of speech and academic inquiry. As we reported to you, Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas is set to address the United Nations later this month. And according to the Times of Israel, during that address, Abbas will call for an international mechanism to oversee peace talks with Israel. The report cites a conversation Abbas held Monday with British Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson, in which Abbas reportedly said that the Palestinians are prepared to return to the negotiating table with Israel, but only on the basis of this international entity, as well as the Arab Peace Initiative. Abbas is scheduled to address the UN Security Council on February the 20th. The Times of Israel also reported, citing the Russian Interfax news agency, that before the UN address, Abbas will also discuss this so-called international mechanism when he meets with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Sochi on February the 12th. Saudi Arabia is denying a report by Israeli media that the country has agreed to allow an airline to use its airspace during a flight to Israel, which would be a historic first. The approval was reported by Israel's public radio, said to have been given to Air India for their new flights from New Delhi to Tel Aviv, the first of which is set for March the 18th. Being able to use Saudi airspace significantly shortens travel time and also, some say, if proven to be true, could be a sign of rare cooperation between Israel and Saudi Arabia, which do not have official diplomatic relations. A man who dedicated his life to preserving the memory of the Holocaust and to the well-being of Holocaust survivors has died. Sam Bloch was born in Poland and, after surviving the Holocaust himself, became the youngest leader of the Jewish committee that governed the Bergen-Belsen displaced persons camp. Later, he helped found the International Society for Yad Vashem and the American Friends of the IDF. Bloch was president of the American Gathering of Jewish Holocaust Survivors and Their Descendants and was appointed by then New York Mayor Ed Koch to the commission that created the Museum of Jewish Heritage, a living memorial to the Holocaust. He also served at the World Zionist Organization and the Jewish Agency for decades and at the World Jewish Congress, who called Bloch an avid and indefatigable advocate for Israel and a champion of Jewish unity. Bloch died on Sunday at the age of 94. Well, we take a look now at another Jewish American athlete who will be competing for Israel at the upcoming Winter Olympic Games. 23-year-old figure skater Amy Buchanan is originally from Boston, just like fellow American athlete competing on Team Israel, skeleton sledder A.J. Edelman, who we told you about last week. Buchanan will make her Olympic debut in South Korea at the Games, which open this Friday. And Israel, by the way, was one of only 10 countries invited to take part in the figure skating team this year. Buchanan has represented Israel 3 times already at the European Figure Skating Championships, and she was the Israeli national champion in 2016. And turning to our programming for tonight on JBS for Wednesday, February the 7th at 7 o'clock, it's from the Aleph Bet. At 7:30, Israel's ambassador to the UN, Danny Danon, talks about the language of anti-Semitism in the UN. At 8, director of the Middle East Forum, Greg Roman, discusses the evolution of America's conflict with the Middle East and how different nations are shaping paths for the future. That's a program of Middle East Forum from Stamford, Connecticut. At 9, Mark Golub sits down for part 2 of L'Chaim with Rage director Rabbi Aryeh Katzen. And at 10, a look at free speech versus hate speech. And coming up right after this newscast tonight at 6:30, it's Thinking Out Loud with Micah Halpern. And that's the JBS News Update for Wednesday, February the 7th, 2018. I'm Teisha Bader.